ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some days came or you can. Yeah. Jeremy, we're on.
We're waiting for you, Jeremy.
We'll call our meeting to order. If you would all please, we'll pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Our clerk of council, Brian Fott, will not be with us tonight, illness in the family. So Art will be acting as our council clerk. So Art, if you would do a roll call vote, please.
Mark Anderson. Kelly Cornett.
Here.
Mike Mays.
Here.
Nancy Montgomery.
Here.
Jeremy Varner.
Here.
And Steve Wolf.
Here. We'll go right into our public comment. We have two people out here in the audience. Would you like to address our council? If you would come up to there and introduce yourself.
My name is Renee Bates. I'm with the Brown County Humane Society. I'm the director.
And my name is Cheryl Rolfe. I'm with Brown County Humane Society Operations Manager.
You wish to address council in any way or just,
Well, we want to thank you for inviting us here. We really appreciate that you're supporting our TNR efforts the way you have. We think we've got some good numbers and some good information for you today.
okay. You're
We would
welcome
love to invite
you're
you all
welcome to present it if you wish. at
Yeah,
this-
absolutely.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Absolutely. So if you have any questions on our TNR program, we'd be glad to answer. Right, what we did last year was the Georgetown Village gave us money to help with the trap and release problem with the cats in the village. So we bought traps, we've got volunteers, we partnered with a lot of local vets, with also some main spay and neuter organizations in the city that helped us a lot. And we did just over, gosh, how many cats did we do over the course of?
175.
Yeah,
per
in
year.
just the village. We did 1,500 cats in Brown County. So it was a huge success, mainly due to you guys, because it kind of got the ball rolling and other villages kind of jumped in and supported us. It's something that's important because you want to be able to solve the problem, but do it humanely.
Mhm.
Nobody wants to go out and exterminate cats that were dumped out because somebody had to move out and left cats. So basically what we're doing is spay and neutering them, vaccinating them so that they're safe, preparing any kind of illnesses, vaccinating for anything like that, and then putting them back out where they came from. What that's going to do is if you have a 20 cat colony, it's going to slowly start to reduce. And we're already seeing that. From January to March, as of right now, we're already 25% down on cat intake for the shelter, and we've only done this 1 year. So in week 5, we may be begging you for money, and you're only going to have to give us half or a third of what you do now. So it does work,
Okay.
and it's a way to work. It works humanely.
Well, good. That's what we hoped and hear from you. So.
I'm going to be just perfectly honest. I was surprised at that number when we looked at it. We were so far behind. There's so many cats out there that I thought it was going to take us 3 to 5 years to make a
Usually
dent.
that's what they say.
Yeah, and that's what the experts tell us. But we went a little crazy last year, and that's like all we did, and that's where all the Humane Society spent. The Humane Society alone spent $76,000. So we were all in. But we also we wanted to prove to the funders out there, the people that do grants, that we can do it. We're an organization. Our community supports us. Our Humane Society is strong enough to carry it on. And we did receive a grant from Joni Bernard, which is a major. So we'll keep doing this, and we just appreciate the support.
Well, we appreciate your efforts. We hear this issue about cats as much as anything else in the village. You know, we don't hear a lot about stray dogs, although we will hear some occasion. We do have some issues with that, but the cats is what we hear more than anything else. So we're appreciative of your efforts there. Council, you have any questions for them?
You said you had 1,500 cats in the county. How many did you do for Georgetown? I didn't hear that.
175.
172.
Yeah.
170.
Two.
On average, how many little kitty cats aren't going to be around because of that?
That depends on how you look at it. The average female cat has 4 litters a year. That litter is typically 4 to 6. So you can do the math there, and it can get into the thousands really quickly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's
And what
awesome.
we do is, you've given us a lot of money, and we want to use that wisely. There's a lot of large organizations that do free spay and neuter, and every chance we get, we're putting Georgetown cats on there. But we're also using our local vet, who's now opened up not one spot, one day was last year. She's opened up 2 days for us. So we're using her too, but the average cost of the spay and neuter for a cat is only $50.
And you clip the ears after you're done.
We clip 1 ear, so that way you can tell it's been done. So if we catch it again, we can let it go.
Do you mainly target males or females?
Everything. Everything. They all breed. Females, obviously,
all
are going to
of
get a
them
big impact, but we blame the males too. It's not just a woman thing.
And when you're trapping, you don't know,
Yeah.
and you're just glad when a cat
Right.
goes in a
Yeah.
trap.
I don't know.
No kidding.
Well, that's awesome. I love cats, but thank you.
Yeah.
Cats are one of my big things.
I mean,
Thank you.
our fairgrounds was really where a big problem was.
And there's still, I know some there that need to be done. I know you right
Yeah.
over there by it.
Yeah, but it's way better than it used to be.
Yes, it is. It is way better.
That's
Yeah.
great.
I mean, we're starting into kitten season, so we're going to start getting inundated with people finding kittens on the side of the road or in baskets, or mom left these kittens, and I mean, we haven't seen it yet, at least in this area. I mean, so we're hopeful that we're making a dent, and if we can just keep it up for a few more years, we think we're really going to make a difference. I know we've made it with dogs, because Brown County has always been ahead of the curve when it's come to their dog shelter. For the last 14 years, we've had a spay and neuter program here. And every other shelter all the way around us is completely full and euthanizing for space. And we're not. We're full. It's not easy, but our heads are a little bit above water. And it's because I think that if you think about it, we've been spaying, neutering 600 to 700 dogs a year just out of the shelter for the last 14 years.
So let's say.
So I think it works, and I think that proves it works. We just have to do it with cats.
So let's say Dennis Glasscock brought this. I hope he's watching me right now. He brought this issue up last year, I think at Mike Mays' place, about cats. Let's say he has cats around his place. Does he contact the Brown County Humane Society then?
Yeah, so we want to make sure, I
Okay.
mean, we need the public's help with this, because there's only a few of us. We do have a dedicated volunteer for Georgetown now, which we didn't have last year, besides Cheryl. So we do have a dedicated, she's going to work just on Georgetown Village, nowhere else. So that's going to help us a lot. But we may need people, if they have a cat problem, call us, but they may need to help. They can borrow traps, they can borrow carriers. We'll set them up with the vet appointments. They may have to get the cat there for us, but we're going to do everything we can. What I think people have to understand is we can't go to somebody's home that maybe is going into a nursing home and just gather up the cats and take them away. That's not what TNR is. TNR is trap, neuter, release. Now, some of those friendly cats we're going to try to bring into our shelter. But if it's truly feral, meaning it's as feral as a raccoon or a rabbit, it's not going to let you pet it, you can't pick it up, we can't adopt that out. It's not safe, and they're going to be miserable.
Okay, would you mind giving your phone number or website right now so Dennis
our
might be
website
able to
has all of our,
contact you?
we call it a SNAP program, spay and neuter assistance program. You can find that on our website, which is bchsohio.org, or you can call the dog shelter, cat shelter at 937-378-3457 or 937-378-2210.
If you've got that in a flyer, you just send me that. I'll put that on the web,
Absolutely.
on our Facebook page. And just to let council know, I drive these people crazy
He
probably.
does.
There's all kinds of little weird things that happen with animals around town that nobody ever knows about. And I always call them and they always come up with a solution. So they're always trying to help help our community, and I appreciate all the help you always give me, so.
Well, we appreciate, I mean, Brown County, what I like so much about Brown County is it's a tough, gritty, rural area, but it's a community of animal lovers. And they, no matter what, they're always going to support, and always have supported us. So I've always been appreciative of that. It's always very rewarding to work here because of the community.
And every time you call me, I usually end up with another dog at home, so
Exactly.
thanks for that.
Exactly. You're an easy target.
Yeah.
So you said 172 last year, and you said on average they'll have 4 litters a year at 4 to 6. That totals out to be almost 3,500 less kittens.
Mhm.
That's what that number is.
Yeah.
That's a lot of less kittens.
Yeah, and it's a lot less suffering. I mean, if you think about it,
Yes.
nobody wants to see those animals out there
No.
suffering, and nobody can take them all. There's not enough people to adopt all those animals, so we need to stop
That's
that.
significant.
To
Yeah.
take words out of Bob Barker's mouth, have your pet spayed or neutered.
Yes, yes, you're so original.
And I understand that you guys, a week from this Saturday, have your biggest fundraiser of the year. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
So that's April 1st. We have our Fiesta for Paws. And it is our largest fundraiser. We'll have raffles, we'll have cake auction,
Silent auction.
amazing music from some guy. I'm not sure who that is,
Self-service.
Dinner.
dinner, drinks.
That's the most important thing. Food,
Yeah,
drinks,
and
yeah.
it is, I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's very casual. It's at the Eagles Hall. And it's a lot of fun, and you can buy tickets at the door. You can buy tickets at our website. You can come into either shelter and buy tickets. We're still looking for donors. We're still looking for some silent auction items. But yeah, it's an easy night out, and it's fun. And it supports the animals.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Any other questions?
Thank you for all your help.
All right. No, thank you. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
thank you once again.
Take care.
All right. We'll proceed on with our meeting. In our general business, on page 1 of your packet is our minutes from our previous meeting. We need to review these to see if there's any corrections, deletions, additions to be made. And if there are none, then we would entertain a motion to approve them as written.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Nancy. Do we have a second?
Second.
By Mark. Let's do a roll call vote.
Mark Anderson,
Yes.
Kelly Cornett,
Yes.
Mike Mays.
Yes.
Nancy Montgomery,
Yes.
Jeremy Varner,
Yes.
Steve Wolf.
Yes. And we have a review of our Community Development Commission Committee meeting minutes on page 4. If anyone from that committee would like to make any comments, or if there's questions from any of the other council members, this is the time to do so. If not, this would be for you to digest and come back to at a later time. Also in your packet on page 5 is a resolution for Confidence Cemetery. We had this here at our last council meeting, but we forgot to attach the rules and regulations to it. So Joe, do we have to rescind the previous resolution?
No, my understanding is that the rates are consistent, and Natalie wanted to see it all inside one document. So you're essentially approving the same rates you approved last meeting. You're just incorporating them into the formal rules and regulations.
So Kelly, would you want to read this by title, please?
A resolution establishing revised rules and regulations for the Confidence Cemetery.
Any questions? If not, then we would entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
Make a motion to approve.
By Steve, second by Mike. Let's do a roll call vote again, please.
Mark Anderson,
Yes.
Kelly Cornett,
Yes.
Mike Mays.
Yes.
Nancy Montgomery.
Yes.
Jeremy Varner.
Yes.
Steve Wolf.
Yes. Does that keep our same resolution number from the last meeting, or is it a new
It'll be a
one?
new one. It'll be 1337.
Very good. Okay, on page 11 of your packet is the gas aggregation plan of operation. And let's get to that. Jeremy, you're probably on top of this as much as anybody, but before we do that, Kelly, would you read this by title, please?
A resolution adopting a plan of operation and governance for the natural gas governmental aggregation for the village of Georgetown.
Is
So Jeremy, you, Art, and Joe, if you have any comments in regard to this, feel free to go.
I would just quickly say that this is a wrap-up piece of legislation. It's basically crossing Ts and dotting Is for the state of Ohio that we have. What's in Exhibit A is we have to have a plan that's formally approved. And this is exactly what we've been doing the whole way through. It just makes it one step more official. And I am 99.9% sure it's the last step more official. I don't think we'll have to revisit this ever again. Then within 6 to 8 weeks, for lucky, maybe a little longer than that, we can actually begin to change over and see those prices and see that the impact on our gas bills. But this is very much it's all important when you're doing the legal thing, but this is stuff we've done like literally 3 times already, and it's just going to wrap it up.
Any questions or concerns? If there are none, then we would entertain a motion to pass this resolution. By Jeremy, you got his hand up first. Is there a second to that? Michael, let's do a roll call vote, please.
Mark Anderson,
Yes.
Kelly Cornett,
Yes.
Mike Mays,
Yes.
Nancy Montgomery,
Yes.
Jeremy Varner,
Yes.
Steve Wolf.
Yes.
That will be resolution 1331. I think I said 1337 on that last resolution we read. It's 1330. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. Also in your packet on page 16 is an ordinance approving the village pickup of employee retirement. That's the Ohio Public Employees Retirement System contribution that is made in there. We had to do a little revision on this based upon what OPERS suggested, well, kind of demanded that we do. So Joe, I don't know whether you want to have a comment on this at all or not.
Yeah, I can explain this. So the last OPERS resolution you did specifically provided the compensation pickup for the village administrator, which was Art. All this does is it's a more blanket authorization that we'll send to OPERS saying they prefer that rather than just giving individuals OPERS pickup, that you designate it for the individual job position. So what that really means is you're going ahead and approving it for the village administrator position. If another village administrator comes that is not Art and you want to change that benefit down the road, which could very well happen, we can do that 2 ways. One, in their new contract, we won't include it, and then we would revise this ordinance to say we're not doing it. They prefer that you do it by position because they categorize everyone for purposes of OPERS by your position.
They prefer it by percentage rather than dollar amount.
Yeah, and so Natalie did, and we had already anticipated that in the previous ordinance. What we didn't do is figure out the exact percentage. We just said percentage equal to $3,000. So Natalie actually figured out what that number is and put it in the version you have. So this is something that's just going to go to OPERS to basically codify what you did last week.
And this is something that may have to be
Adjusted.
adjusted every year if there's any type of increase to the administrator's pay, whether it's through cost of living or whether it's through just another type of compensation. So this will be something that'll be in Natalie's ticker for every year whenever we get time to talk about that. Go ahead.
Just logistically, to adjust that, does that mean we have to put another ordinance out each time, or is it written so that it can be adjusted?
So the way that we've done it, we will have to adjust that every year. I don't see any other way around it. Most times people do all or nothing pickups, or they just give an increase. Because of the way you chose to do it as a percentage versus 100% or something else. Yes, I think the short answer is yes. And I will rely on Natalie to do that.
Any more questions? If not, in order for this to pass, we would need to have a motion to do so.
Yes, I want to make that motion.
Okay, Mark, do we have a second?
I'll second. Oh,
Okay,
go
by
ahead.
Nancy.
Jeremy can do it.
Okay, let's do a roll call. Oh, wait, no, we need to read this by title. Kelly, let's read this by title. We'll come back to those
It's an
motions.
emergency.
An ordinance that
Yeah, it is.
authorizes the Village of Georgetown to pick up a portion of the statutorily required employee contribution to the Ohio Public Employees Retirement System for the village administrator pursuant to RC 414H2 and declaring an emergency.
Now, we've had our discussion on that. Mark, do you still wish to make that motion to approve this?
May I say something
Yes.
before that? The town has no idea how much work that man does and how valuable he is to this town. Having said that, I make a motion for this ordinance.
Very good, Mark. Nancy, do you still wish to second that?
Yes.
Okay. Let's do a roll call vote, please.
Mark Anderson,
Yes.
Kelly Cornett,
Yes.
Mike Mays,
Yes.
Nancy Montgomery,
Yes.
Jeremy Varner,
Yes.
Steve Wolf.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ordinances that aren't
This will be ordinance number 1338.
1338. Okay. Okay, in your packet on page 18 is your payment listings, and if there are questions in regard to that, between Art and I, we can probably answer all of these. And if not, we can always request that from Natalie.
The one question I had actually doesn't, it's suggested by this, but isn't part of this is, I'm seeing that Lexipol is on here, which I'm thrilled about. Is that, so we are beginning the rollout period on that, or I don't know?
He's
how-
already started. And
Yeah, if you want
yeah,
to.
that's fine.
Oh, you won't. Okay, thanks, Rob.
As I mentioned at my last meeting in my report was we had already made contact. We had done a webinar for basically walking us through how it was going to play out. Over that time, we went ahead and we were given our information to sign up for the Police One Online Academy. We had a supervisors meeting where we picked out the 16 hours that we needed to do here locally that's required by the state. There's 8 hours that the state's providing. But those were submitted to the state. I got an email back on Tuesday stating that they approved it. So Wednesday morning, all that was sent out to the officers that these are the classes you need to take. And also on Tuesday, I got a email from the person that is supposed to be our, I'm trying to think what the program organizer, director, whatever you want to call it, from Lexipol, coordinator, there you go. And he had a questionnaire that I had filled out weeks ago that he wanted sent to him. I also went ahead and sent him a copy of our current policy manual just for reference if he wanted it. And he's supposed to go through, do the initial kind of generic setup, and then we're supposed to start setting up weekly work groups to get it done, basically. So I'm assuming that once we get started, he'll kind of have an idea of a completion date or something like that. It's very early. I mean, we haven't even had one work session yet. It's literally, we just made initial contact for the policy manual. So
You'd rather do it,
what's that?
and you'd rather do it slow and right than rush it.
Oh, correct.
Yeah, so that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
And Jeremy, on the village side, I'm a little bit behind him. Today, they made contact with me this week. I did all the spreadsheets with the employees' names on them, contact email, cell phone numbers. They're uploading those in the system. I take the webinar he's talking about. I do that Saturday. So I'll take that Saturday, and then next week I'll upload our village handbook into there, and then we'll start the process with them. We're about in the same spot. I don't know where Chief Rocky's subscription is right now, where they are in the process, but
Yeah, the update.
Any other questions to the payment listing? If not, we'll go to the bank reconciliation on page 20. And then, of course, our line items on the fund summary on page 21. This is something you get every month in your packets, and you see that there are some changes periodically. And on page 22 is our Mayor's Court report. Chief, do you have any comments about Mayor's Court? All right, very good. Any questions from council on any of these items? Okay. Okay, we'll move on. Then we'll go to our roundtable discussion. And Mark, I'll start with you if you'd like to.
First of all, I want to say thank you, Mr. Administrator. Thank you, Mr. Braun. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All you're doing a fabulous job. At different points, I've been extremely hard on the mayor, which I'm very sorry for, but I think he's doing a fabulous job. The only thing I got to say, I have two things to say. The gas bill, the utility bill was delivered in an envelope this month, and it was at my house delivered on the 17th, and the late payment was after the 20th. I was told there was going to be no late charge, or is that right or not?
They're waiving it.
Okay, I just want to put that out to the public because that's what we do. We work for the public. Also, I'm not married, thank God, but I've heard an adage, happy wife, happy life. I would greatly encourage the Georgetown Police, whoever's in charge of facial hair, allowing the Georgetown officers to have full beards. That's all.
Can I ask a question, not about facial hair? Your first comment, I only caught half of it. Your gas bill had a late fee on it?
No, it said if I paid after the 20th.
The Georgetown utility.
The Georgetown utility bill, okay.
They're
okay.
waiving that because
You got your
got it
bill
on
so
the
late,
20th.
yep, got you.
That was
in envelopes from now on? or-
Yeah, that you'll get it in that piece of paper.
Okay, I was
That's
a little,
because of the switch over that we're doing with the piece of paper.
Yes,
with
yes,
the graph on
gotcha.
it.
I was,
So,
yeah.
also the auto pay is still in effect. If you had it, am I right?
yes.
Oh, because it's not on that letter, because that was my main concern, was the auto pay is still in effect. Now I'm done. I'm sorry.
You're fine. All right. Thank you, Mark. Jeremy.
Okay, yes, I have 1.5 items. The half item is, do you want me to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. It is announced on the packet, and therefore it might be out into the public, that we have an Emergency Services Committee meeting on Tuesday, April 11th. And that date is needed to change. Do we officially want to try to set a date? Well,
We can while the chief is here.
4:30 is like.
you had said the 18th.
You can probably change that part too.
But I don't want to,
You wanna make
unless
it
you're sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay,
We can make that a little later too. 4:30 is kind of early to try to.
That works. I'm fine with it. It's up to, and
yeah, I
whatever's good with
believe
the chief.
yeah, it's designed to match up with the right. So we might,
We'll work on that.
okay, all right, got it. So, but I believe the 18th, essentially 1 week later, at the same time. I got confirmation from chief and from the mayor.
Next day.
Are you still good with that, Steve?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, then we'll officially change that to the 18th then. Thank you.
Do we have a time yet?
4:30. I think That's
4:30.
correct, right? Yeah.
That works better for me.
4:30 is good. Okay, cool.
I like to go home and come back.
Yeah, yeah. And if there's no questions more about that, second item, I will do this efficiently as possible, but this is going to take a minute. I am excited to present the latest status on the DORA and where this is heading. We're kind of in the position where we can begin to make a real decision here with all of us coming together to vote, but not tonight. So the logic here is that in order to an attempt to encourage downtown development and also just create a family fun atmosphere where people can come and enjoy themselves outdoors as well as indoors. That's been what we've been talking about with the DORA up to this point. But when Art was able to present last time we met about some of the grants for downtown revitalization, and this just seemed to dovetail so nicely with that. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm really excited that this is coming to the point where we can actually make a formal decision on this, because I personally feel there's a lot of positive that can come from the situation. So that having been said, after several meetings were held and lots of feedback was gathered, and if you are listening and you gave feedback one way or the other, I'm really deeply appreciative, because we distinctly altered things based on what we were hearing from both sides of the issue. What is going to happen at this point is, after this meeting tonight, the proposal as it has been, the draft proposal as it's been put together, is going to be sent out to all of the village council people, plus Joe, Art, the other people with a vested interest in this. The logic would be to give 3 weeks to look over the proposal as is written, talk to people still, decide, et cetera, and square up how you feel about the situation. Then on Thursday, April 13th, at the CDC meeting, because technically this should go through the CDC meeting, the proposal will be brought up in the CDC meeting. If it is promoted out of the CDC meeting, then that night, Thursday, April the 13th, at the full council meeting, it will be in the packet to be formally voted on one way or the other. In an attempt to, what I'm about to say next is going to be sent to all council members, but for people who might be listening or watching or picking this up later, I was going to do a brief rundown of what is in the proposal. Obviously, please read it carefully, look over it, it's fine, but some of the key issues, the key items that we've been discussing and wanting to know about, I'll just give you a quick breakdown, and if there's questions, obviously, happy to take those. So the first item that was, I think, the most important one is that the DORA is, the default setting on the DORA is for infinity. So it is shut down. It is not in effect unless it is actively acted upon. That's the item number one. If it is actively acted upon, there are strict limits on when it can be acted upon. Yeah, jump in, Mike, sure.
So who activates that? Does it come to, does the mayor activate it? Does the village administrator activate it? Is it the coordinators of the activity on the square? How does that get activated?
No. The way we have it, the way we have it set up, it's one of these two gentlemen up here.
So either Mayor Cowhall or Joe or.
No, or Art.
Art.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
And, well, okay, I'll just jump to this point.
sorry.
No, you're fine, yeah. The idea is that, that anybody could come and petition for that to happen, but not only does it need to be agreed to, but it also has to be publicized, which I've got, in a little bit, I'll talk about that too. But and it is entirely possible that if, let's suppose Jeremy Varner comes up and says to Art, hey, I really want the door open a week from next Friday or something like that. Art could say, for a very legitimate reason or for no reason at all, he could say no. There doesn't have to be a reason given. Art or the mayor knows a lot about what's going on in the square and stuff, so he could just say no.
So I think you'd have to have some kind of guideline to that too, really, wouldn't you? Because I mean, say Joe Blow want to come in and say, we want to have an activity on the square, but then he gets denied, but then Jeremy comes in and wants one and he gets approved. There's got to be a guideline set, I would think, for approval or denial. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. Here's the thing. Not many municipalities do this the way that we're doing it. And so in all the research that I did, I read over a dozen of these. None of them had this set up, and some of them had that come up. Joe, do you?
I mean, you can do it two different ways. I've shared this with Jeremy, and I think he's going to be using it as a guide. But in another community I represent, the way they started it in the beginning was council, not the mayor or administrator, came up with, I think they limited it to 3 or 4 events annually and said, these are the events we're going to allow to use the DORA every year. And it kind of evolved. Then eventually they opened it up and said it's going to be 24/7 with these hours. I've seen other communities where they say the administrator or the mayor, whoever, can pick the activities like you're talking about, but I would caution you not to do that without giving guidelines, saying they must meet these guidelines, because you're right, you don't want to pick and choose. We don't pick and choose winners. We just try to fit everybody in there. The other option is that you require them to come back to council and ask council to bless it each time you want to use a door. So those are your options.
The third one is not something I had really given a lot of thought
Yeah,
to.
that is an
That's true.
option.
That's true. Yeah, I'd forgotten about
Is
that.
this something that should be interwoven into our special event policy?
That's kind of what I'm getting at right there. I think it should be more something led by the town or village, not really just a private party wanting to have a party on the square.
Oh, I don't have a problem with that. I was just thinking, even private parties, if they want to have an event, we've got a forum and guidelines to have an event. But I just wonder if this ought to be maybe just attached, or just, I guess, give it to them when they turn the thing in if it says they want alcohol.
What process you want to use for people to petition to use Adora, that lies with council. So you all can decide that. You do have a lot of flexibility. The other thing, Jeremy, though, remember the entire DORA process is triggered by the mayor submitting an application to council, and then you have 45 days after that. So just remember, we need to start that process when it's the right time.
When you're done, I have a question for you.
Yeah, no problem, Mark. That would not, the mayor submitting that wouldn't happen until after we approved of it to happen, correct? Or it can happen in the inverse?
First,
Got it.
then you have 60 days to act. to
Got it.
Approve the DORA
I had it back.
after he recommends it.
Got it. My bad. Yeah, because you both had questions.
Mark had one first, I think.
I'll be against this, whatever the answer to this is. Will Sean Inlow be allowed to be at this with his concession stand for if kids are there?
I'm not sure I understand. You mean like if the door was open on the square, could Sean have his food truck? I mean, well, food truck, whatever.
Yes.
Those are independent things. I imagine if they both followed all the rules and did all the things they're supposed to do, they could, but they don't really have anything to do with each other, if you know.
What if it,
Alcohol?
No.
No.
So he'd be unaffected by it.
if it, yeah, and if it's
Okay,
during
I'll-
an event, that's up to the organizer.
I was just trying to give something for kids because I'm against it regardless. I'm just trying to give something for kids.
Well, I will tell you, I'm against it for kids' events,
Sure.
like skating
Sure.
party and that.
Well-
if it's something for kids, I just don't think.
Okay, I
But
was
the
just-
other events, absolutely.
I was just trying to give kids something they could drink if the parents bring the kids or whatever.
Whoa.
Yeah,
So you're saying, in addition, have it out there during Adora time so people that didn't want to do the alcohol aspect would have a different option.
For
I'm
the
sure-
kids.
There'd be nothing that'd prevent him. I'm sure if we were having a big event
yeah.
and he thought it was going to be a profitable thing to be at, he would be more than welcome to
Okay, I
come
was
up
just
there.
asking a question.
Yeah, but just so you know, in terms of ordinance and resolution, those are completely independent things.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, cool.
Jeremy,
Yes, sir. Yeah.
and I'll get to this in my roundtable. I actually won't be here for that vote.
Right.
But I was under the understanding, and this is coming from somebody who's I haven't given this topic a whole ton of thought because it doesn't, just heavier things to think about, budget committee stuff and stuff like that. It's kind of like if we do, we do. If we don't, we don't. But I have kind of snaked back and forth. It's kind of like whoever talks to me last is kind of has my ear. But I was under the impression that, and I don't know, maybe I'm thinking of something else that we did. Maybe I'm thinking of gas aggregation or something else. I thought there was going to be or maybe there was and I missed it, like a public thing. Yeah.
Two of them.
Okay. I watched one online, and then there was another one after that.
Nobody showed up.
Okay.
And then,
I only asked because I was recently contacted by somebody. Actually, when I saw them on the caller ID, I thought maybe they were going to be anti, and they were very much for. And I think that they thought maybe there was going to be more conversation about it before we took a vote. But I guess I didn't realize we'd already had a second one. I missed that one. So, okay.
And while, I mean, legalistically aside, I think you bring up, like philosophically a good point. We want as much feedback and as much people to talk about this as possible, which is why I was hoping to throw down what we're thinking with plenty of time. in
Yeah, you're right.
between
And
to-
then in the next 2 weeks, constituents can ping their council people and give
Right.
them their thoughts and take a vote on the 13th. Got it. Okay.
And just for the benefit of Councilmember Wolf and Varner, the ORC requires that we publish notice and have a public hearing before you vote on it. So we would have to do that anyway. And typically you can do that the meeting you're going to vote on it or the meeting before, however. So there will be a hearing at a council meeting.
That's the
Prior
part.
to the vote.
Okay. This particular.
And that is
person-
in the ORC.
This particular person was an attorney and that's what they were referencing. And now I get it.
That's what they're
So-
talking about.
So what would the flow
These
be?
things that Councilmember Varner organized were kind of in addition to the statutory required hearing.
Okay, so the flow would go that there'd be a vote on the 13th, and if that vote were in favor of, then there would be a public hearing. Is that right?
So the mayor is required to send notice to council that he wants to form a DORA, or he's in favor, in writing.
Okay, stop right there. I'm sorry.
That's
not to
first
interrupt,
step.
But you're going to do that for the next 13th meeting. Okay.
And then you have 60 days to act on that. And in the course of that, you have to publish notice, you have to have a public hearing, and you have to do that within a certain time period too, which is all laid out in the statute. And then council can consider the legislation. And like I said, you have lots of options about what you want that legislation to look like. And you all can decide that as a council.
We'll get a map when you send all that out.
So, yeah, this is, as far as I'm concerned, this is perfectly fine that it's gone kind of organically. That's one of the things I was going to discuss with you guys is, no, you're fine, you're fine. Do you want me to address that question now, Joe, or about the map?
If you
Okay. Okay, to proceed for, okay. So, yes, what did you call it? We were a committee? We were a subcommittee of the CDC?
You're an
We
ad-
called it an ad hoc.
An ad hoc subcommittee of the, okay. We had kicked around a lot of things with the mappage, and I put together 2 maps, one for an expanded area, one for a smaller area. I really believe that the smaller area is the best one to go with. This will be in the material you'll get, but just so you know, the discussion for the larger area included this building, and the discussion for the smaller area took that line and brought it back up so that it did not come further south than the square itself. And that's probably, there was discussion all over the place on that pros and cons, but I think it's better to start small and expand outwards if people want to do that. But I think the initial one should just be the square and the
When
map.
you say the square itself, you included Bicentennial Park in it, right?
Yes, yes, it did. Mhm. And up to, right, it makes sense, right? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good ideas there.
So does it come as far as State Route 125?
So, okay, it would start immediately south of the alley and comes down Main Street, expands to include the square, and then stops including the buildings on the south side of the square, but does not come down to State Street at all. There,
Includes the church.
it would include the church, yes.
Okay.
Oh, no, it would not. I'm sorry. No, it would not.
Why not?
We're getting a packet that's going to
Yes.
do everything that you're saying right now.
It's a map that's made from the tax map of Brown County, and it's drawn lines and all the addresses, all the,
Okay.
yeah. I
I'm
mean,
gonna do one next over at your guys' all's house.
this is almost in my house. Not quite.
Yeah, I'd just like to do one over by your guys' house as soon as we get this done.
Okay. So other things to mention, there's a lot of talk about starting small. So, the only possible, as presented, the only possible days that it could be activated would be Thursdays, Fridays, holidays, and village designated special events, and only in the late afternoon, the evening from 3 to 11. but that's only if it's switched on. Let's see here. Talked about the boundaries. Talked about the requesting. Oh, one of the things required is signage for the boundaries to let people know exactly where and when it is available. And you'll get a map in the packet that shows where the signs would go as well. That's a piece of, that's required. So that's something that the state would require of us too.
Are these streets being blocked off when this is all going on?
No, they're completely open the whole time. I mean, okay, I would say this, independently, you can ask for special events to have the streets blocked off, but streets being blocked off in the Dora are totally nothing to do with each other. They could happen together or not. It doesn't, they have nothing to do with each other. It's kind of like the food truck thing that Mark was asking.
You might hit on, I'm sorry, can I speak? I know it's.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Mark, you're fine.
Is, are the police gonna be at this event? Or are they not gonna be at this event?
Okay, so, yeah, so you're saying if it were to open, let's say,
Yes,
okay, and that's what you mean by event?
yes.
Yeah, okay, fine. So, the way the Dora is set up is that it's basically just a part of the activities that are happening on Courthouse Square. There's no requirement for extra police protection. One of the major things for me was that whatever we do, it should not in any way make the department's life more difficult. So it is not required to do anything extra or special in that way whatsoever.
Essentially, it suspends the open container requirements,
yeah.
which means you may just have the businesses operating as usual and people using sidewalks, to Mike's point, or you close off the streets, but it might just happen on an event that you randomly pick and you authorize, and you could just carry a beer, for instance, from Ulysses to Parker's or Parker's to Ulysses.
I think
And in normal days, you could get arrested for open container, but not during a Dora event.
Can I piggyback right on that? One thing that a lot of people get confused, and this is, again, somebody that's not really pro or con, but I used to kind of fall into this trap. It suspends open container. It doesn't suspend public intoxication. This is not a license now for you to stand on Courthouse Square and get drunk and act a fool and break the law and whatnot.
Also
And that
doesn't
seems
change
to,
the age.
that seems to be the overriding concern. I've heard
Yeah.
people that have come here that talked about, fear of people urinating in their bushes or whatnot. I know,
Go get cited.
yeah, I mean, if they would get in trouble if they did that now without a door. They'd get in trouble if they did that with a door. And I don't want to, so just pull a no comment if you want, but because that seems to be an overriding concern, does the chief or the department have a position on, or is that, I'm going to look at you actually, if that's something you don't even want them to go into or not, or whatever.
You know,
Let me preface it. You're the mayor, you're the head of that department.
Mhm.
You would be bringing this to council, and I don't want to put you on the spot.
Mhm.
So I take it you kind of endorse the idea.
Mhm.
You will be putting it on in front of
I will
council.
be presenting it to council for them to consider to vote on.
Okay.
As far as what the chief and the department feel about that, I think they should feel as you just explained it, it's, if there's someone that's intoxicated, they take them off the street. If there is altercations or anything like that, they take them off the street. Chief, I don't want to speak for chief, but if you have any other concerns, feel free to chime in if you wish.
The only thing I would say about it is just that, just play it by ear, just see how it goes. And if it looks like it's going to be an issue, then obviously if you guys decide to do it from that point on, we'd probably need to have some type of police presence after that.
An evolutionary process.
The other thing that needs to be made clear, it's open container only in a Dora cup. It's not open container that you can bring a beer from home or a drink from home. You're only allowed to drink on the street during those hours out of a Dora cup, a drink that was purchased in a DORA establishment. So a lot of places, I think around had some trouble with people because they were saying, well, it's open container. Not exactly. So I want to make sure everybody understands that you have to purchase it from a DORA establishment, have to have it in a DORA cup.
Or another way to,
Up there, special cups.
Yep.
Chief Freeland, do you, it seems kind of a fraternity of chiefs, I assume. Are you friends with or know pretty well? Because I don't know him at all, the chief of Ripley?
I know Corey very well, but he's only been the chief down there for a minute. So I don't even know if he has
Carl
much
Corey?
opinion about it. Yeah.
Oh, he's the chief there?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh.
He left Waynesburg and went there as the chief.
Did you know the former chief very well or?
No.
Okay. I just wondered because they've had one running and if you.
I mean, I can reach out to Corey and see what, since he's been there,
Yeah.
what it adds up to, but
Okay.
I've never had that conversation though.
I talked to one of their officers.
Okay.
I talked to one of their officers one night, and he said that they hadn't had any problem. It wasn't an issue.
in the research that I did, just because it was the towns that I could get statistics for, I was looking at one very large town and one town that's very much like ours. And there was no increase in problems that you might associate with this. I don't want to go through the list, but I mean, drinking and driving, open container, disorderly conduct, those kinds of things. Those saw no statistical fluctuation whatsoever that would be in any way associated with this. And I bring it up because as much as I would like this to happen, if in any way, shape, or form I felt or was directly communicated that this is affecting the police staff, I would not be sitting where I'm sitting right now. I think Chief Freeland is wise to say, obviously play it by ear and see what things happen, but I wouldn't even have gotten this far if I thought it was a problem to consider initially. So, yeah, so all of this will be coming out to you guys so you can check that out. I believe I've covered all the points I want to have. This kind of got going in different directions, which is perfectly fine. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, I will say this too is if businesses or locations are not interested in participating, the way I've seen this done most efficiently is with window stickers that you can either put a window sticker on that says you are interested in participating or not participating. There is one other thing that I did want to mention that this, I think, in an attempt to help Chief Friedland and his department and also help the village know what would be happening. Generally speaking, a lot of the doors that are out there are done on a very regular schedule. I'm making this up, noon to midnight, 7 days a week. There's a benefit to that in that everybody knows exactly what's going on at all point in time. It's like running any business. You want to standardize your hours so people want to find you, they know when to find you. We want to be flexible, perfectly fine, but we need to communicate that with people. So the idea I saw One Door do that I will be happy to put together is on our door signs to have a QR code. QR code that links to the village's page about the status of the DORA. So literally, and the worst case scenario, the reason why I thought of this was not even for patrons on the square coming in and wanting to know is the DORA open tonight or not. I was mostly concerned about Chief Friedland's staff. Do they need to be, concerned about this tonight or not? So let's suppose one of the officers comes on, maybe they're subbing for somebody, maybe they missed hearing what is the DORA on tonight or not. With a literally 5-second scan of the QR code with your smartphone, it would take you right to the status and you know exactly what was happening. So if, for example, somebody didn't get the message, then they would know, like, as you can picture the staff and their cruisers getting out ready to do their jobs, there's going to be a DORA sign right there. They could know instantly whether or not what the status of the DORA is. So I thought it was really, really important because if we're going to do this flexibly, then communication is critical. And I wanted to make sure that that was covered for both patrons, but more importantly for Chief Freeland staff.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
I'm obviously voting against this,
Yes.
but not because of the topic I'm about to address. Let's say somebody lives around this business
Okay.
and the people are very, very loud. Since there is no noise ordinance in Georgetown, what is this person supposed to do if they live around this business?
Why do you just automatically assume it's going to be really loud because somebody's drinking a beer? I mean, it's just an honest question. Like I went home last night and drank a beer. I didn't
Well,
get
when
it
people-
after work.
when-
I didn't get intoxicated. I
when-
didn't kick the dog. I didn't urinate on the couch.
Okay,
I didn't do it.
but-
I just drank a beer,
But when,
did some night work, went to bed.
when,
and pe-
when large groups of people get together, occasionally it's loud outside.
Yeah, like when we had our skating party, it was really loud outside. We had music blasting on the square. We had tons of kids skating around the
Okay,
square.
that's a perfect,
It was really loud.
that's
Yeah.
that's a perfect example. What's someone to do if they live around that and they can't sleep because they have to sleep?
Do what they would do now if it was really loud when there's not a Dora. So if it was really loud in front of my house right now and there's no Dora tonight, I would call the Georgetown police and report a disturbance and have them come and take care of it. And you would do the same thing if there was a Dora and it was really loud. I assume, right, Chief? I mean,
There is no noise ordinance, I don't think.
It's public nuisance because
Yeah, disturbing the peace is, or if someone were disorderly, yeah, that's something the police can act upon.
I would like to point, Mark, you're bringing up a solid point, man, and I'm glad you're bringing it up. It reminds me of another point that I see as a point of disconnect with people on this, or what I feel, and you can disagree with me on this, it's fine. What I feel is a point of disconnect. A major point of the door is to be an economic generator. And what that means for this is going to be selling more cups to people on the square. I think when people get worried about this, what they picture is the same number of people coming to the square consuming more beverages per person. That is the complete opposite of what the DORA is seeking to do. This DORA is seeking to bring more individuals to the place. And if let's suppose for a second, the average purchase is 2 drinks. You can generate revenue by changing that number. So you have 10 people and you serve them 5 drinks instead of 2. Wrong, bad. What I'd rather do is have 25 people come down and get 2 drink services. And therefore, the concept of disorderly, loud, and stuff like that, while it's still completely legit and could happen, is not where this is going if you're having more people, but not more alcohol per person. Throwing it out there, that's absolutely the goal. And I don't know why just having it outdoors would cause people to drink more per person. I don't, that doesn't make any sense to me. It's just about volume of people, not alcohol per person. If that's,
We're not gonna drink no less though either, right? Because you have a door.
I would hope not. Yeah.
Well, when this is brought up at the next meeting, I'll be voting no, not for any of the reasons I talked about
yeah.
tonight. It's just I don't like alcohol.
And I want you, I hope you understand this, Mark. When I'm bringing this up, I am not in any way disrespecting your opinion, your philosophies. I completely respect this. And I respect your probable no vote with, I respect that as being a very philosophically thought out position. And I don't have any problem with that. And I hope you don't think that this is a personal affront that I'm bringing it
You
up.
did a great job presenting all this, and your work has been very extensive, Jeremy. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I applaud all the work.
Still no. Which is good, which is fine, which is totally fine. Yeah. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate the compliment. That was nice of you to say that. Okay, so I don't believe I have anything else. Unless there are other questions you can ask, I will get this out to you and you can check it out.
I don't want to beat a dead horse,
No.
but and I guess I feel a little silly because I probably won't be here to vote on it. But the you said it the other day. I guess I just want, and it's not that I don't, I believe every word that comes out of your mouth, but I guess I just want to hear an attorney say it or just get it, maybe even the public hear it again. Is UDF being looped in as one of the, okay, so let's just use their names. Okay, so it's Parker's and Ulysses. And I hope those businesses are here for a million years, and I hope that a few other ones like them spring up around our square in time. What would happen if, heaven forbid, my wife would cry, I'd probably cry a little bit if, if Wade packed up and moved that business somewhere else and all of a sudden there's just one bar, or if Jordan, that there's been through the years, the bar at Jordan's location's been in business, not by him, by other people, been in business, been out of business, been in business, been out of business. What if 6 months from now, that bar wasn't there anymore or something like that? That's always been my weirdness on this one is, I see these down on like the banks when I'm going to Paul Brown and, there's literally 50 bars on my left and restaurants and 50 on my right. By the way, no fights, no public intoxication. I've never seen I've never seen a problem there. Might help there is a police station right there in the middle of the door, but what would happen, Mr. Braun, I guess, if we enact this? Obviously, it wouldn't be getting turned on, but it seems weird to me that we would still be meeting the requirements if all of a sudden we went from having 2 liquor establishments to 1.
Because we would not any longer be meeting the requirements.
Right.
It would automatically go away.
We would lose that status.
Okay.
Well, okay, so, and this is the one question I have is, do we, because if it's not turned on anyways, does that, if it were not turned on anyways, would that make a difference? Could we just have it?
I will check this because I've never seen this occur, but I think common sense would tell me if we're required to have 2 permit holders in the district and we lose one for any reason, it could be that, for instance, as you said, Parker's moves down the street out of the district to a bigger location,
Yeah.
or Ulysses moves to a bigger location. Yeah, we would, in my opinion, I think we would probably no longer qualify.
Correct.
And I'll double check that. But yeah, I think if we don't meet the minimum requirements, I would think common sense would tell me we would no longer be able to do it.
How far are the locations to be from each other?
So they have to, the 2 permit holders have to be in the district. So we draw the district, being the count, the village. So, you could have one pretty far apart, but between point A and point B, you'd be able to carry a beer. You could also have them next door to each other and have a very small district.
I've seen one that's drawn where it's over a mile between 2 points in a large city. And ours would be one of the smaller ones that existed, and you're looking at, I'm not as good as estimating, but like 250 yards. That's pretty tight. So it could be anywhere, except there is a limitation on the total number of acreage that could be within the DORA. You can't just go,
Yeah,
and we're way under, we're nowhere near that. Yes, sir. No.
if any kids are watching this, what we're talking about is a concept called gerrymandering. It's a very important concept, but it's done by different people for different reasons, but it's very interesting. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you.
I just like to educate the kids that are watching because it's what we're talking about is very interesting.
Someday they're going to be in these seats, right?
Hopefully.
Exactly. Yeah. So, Joe, obviously you're way more good at this. You're way smarter about this than I am. But my reading was you lose one, that makes it no longer legal, I guess would be the right.
And there's a
term.
lot of other requirements to this we haven't talked about and probably won't talk about. Like Jeremy alluded to it. We can't be of a certain, I think it's by acre. We're not gonna, the anticipated district, as I've been told, will certainly fall within that qualification. I think the one we have to be most worried about in the village of Georgetown is, do we have 2 eligible permit holders in the district? And that's something, as long as those 2 establishments are there, that will satisfy.
I can also say this, which is a twist on this that I thought it would not be appropriate to go down this road, since technically UDF is a licensed permit holder, although I still can't wrap my head around what that would mean in terms of service, right? If we could expand the DORA to include UDF, which is unlikely to be going anywhere. And if Parker's decided to move down the street or something, move out of the district, we'd still have 2 permit holders within the DORA. In that case, it'd be Ulysses, it'd be UDF. I personally did not even bring that up, let alone advocate for that, because I think that's not within the spirit of, it seems to me to be a fake out, kind of, you know what I'm saying? And so I didn't even bring that up, but technically,
Would
I
that
just think it's
roll?
wrong.
Would that roll?
Do you know what kind of permit UDS has?
I have no idea because I'm against alcohol. I ID people that are 100 years old because I'm so against alcohol.
Yeah,
I don't know.
there's certain
Would
permits.
that roll, Joe?
There's certain permits they have to have. Jeremy, did you look at what UDF's permit is?
Okay, this is mildly awkward. I got that information from you.
But that was, when we talked about it, I said, we've got to see what permit they have. They have to have an A1, an A1A,
Right.
an A1C, an A2, A2F, or a D, and it excludes D6 and D8. If you can't consume on premises, I
premises,
think they
right.
would be ineligible.
Okay, that's how I interpreted it as well. That's
Yeah.
why we didn't
Any
even talk.
sense.
It didn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why we didn't.
Now, if they can't consume it there,
Right.
they
They
would
can,
be ineligible.
right.
So make that crystal clear, yeah.
Yep. So then.
I remember us talking about it, but what I thought we were talking about is not knowing for sure, because I didn't know the permits, but I can tell you by looking at them, and I've got my cheat sheet up here, I would be surprised if a cash and carry license qualified.
So to bring this full circle though, the investment up front's like very minimal from what I understand. So it's some signs. And if we found a situation where we no longer complied, we could park the sign somewhere, maybe a few months down the road, another business opens up that puts us back in, and we kind of go through the process again, and we'd just be that much ahead of the game. We'd have the signs already purchased kind of thing. Okay.
Tell your friend he'd just have to put it on hold for a while.
What friend did he have to put what on hold?
You said at the last meeting you have a friend who goes to Parker's who sometimes drinks alcohol.
Yes.
Tell your
Yes, he
friend
does.
he just have to put it on hold.
Jeremy, do you have anything else for Tom?
I don't, unless there's other questions to respond to. No, like that, I really appreciate everybody who's put some time and effort into this, people in this room, people outside this room helping out. I mean, this is literally, in this case, it takes a village. And I really appreciate wherever this goes, whatever happens, I feel I can say confidently that we've done a lot of work to make this as responsible and responsive to the village as possible. So thank you to everybody who has been helping out with this.
Good. Nancy?
Just a couple of short things. And Jeremy's done a great job like he does on everything that he's involved in and researches. Number one, do we have available any of the steering wheel stop sticks, lock sticks that police departments can get for people who own Kias or Hyundais?
He's talking about the, I think Honda's supposed, or not Honda, but Kia and Hyundai are supposed to be having kits for the cars where they can get them installed for free, I think.
Well, they've got, those are software upgrades, but in the meantime, they have provided locking
Yeah,
sticks.
for
that
the
go
steering
on.
wheel.
But police have to request them. Only the individuals can't, and then they get them from the police department. Somebody asked me about it and sent me an article, you know, if we had any. I said I would ask. So
Chief, if you want to look into it, you can see.
it doesn't tell you in there where to find them. It just says, I would think any police site, both of them. Both of them. Want to welcome Buckeye Valley Beef Cooperative, our newest business in town. That was exciting. That building was not empty very long.
Could you repeat that? What was it?
What?
What was the name of that?
The Buckeye Valley Beef Cooperative?
Okay.
I think I've got, isn't that right?
Yeah.
Buckeye Valley Beef Cooperative, yeah. They're out where Simply Rustique used to be. I think is it 690 State or 390?
State Street.
State Street, yeah,
Races.
State.
Races.
The old laundromat with the car wash behind it.
Yeah. They've got a Facebook page and a website, so you can go and hopefully they'll be open. by it in the morning and just happened to think, gosh, that's a nice building. I hope somebody gets it. Went out like 2.5 hours later and there's a big sign in the window that said Buckeye Valley Beef Cooperative. And the other thing is, I just want to remind people about the semi-quincentennial that July 4th, 2026. And shortly after April 4th or 5th this year, it will be on Facebook and probably the village page, asking people to come to form a committee, give input, and that is county inclusive. So we hope we have people from all over the county to come to that. So keep your eye out for that. And right now, that's it.
Nancy. Kelly, do you have things for council?
I don't think I have anything specific. I did want to tell Jeremy thank you for his work on the DORA. I know firsthand he put a lot of time and effort into doing the homework, researching the districts, working with Joe, drawing the map. I actually saw him out one night driving around getting addresses. He also knocked on doors to talk to individual homeowners to get input. So he really single-handedly put a lot of time and effort into that project. I know he truly means too that if it passes, great. If it doesn't, no hard feelings. He just really wants to do what's best for the community. So again, thank you. That's it.
Ditto on that for sure. Thanks for your hard work. So the lady said it earlier, but I just wanted to repeat it again. The ladies from the Brown County Humane Society, we heard kind of a real life testimonial of just some of the work they do. And then that's just on the cat trap and release side, but obviously they do a whole lot on the dog side too. But that event is April 1st up at the Big Eagles Hall. I can tell you, I go to a lot of these kind of events, and this is a good one. I mean, they're all good. They're all for a great reason, but this is a really fun one. This is a good bang for your buck. It's $35 and you get a meal. They have Georgetown students. So a lot of these things you go to, you wait in a line forever with your paper plate. Not here. You chill out at your table, get you a non-alcoholic if you want, or an alcoholic cocktail, and sit at a table. Students can come and serve you your food, and it's very relaxing and entertaining, but it's for a great cause. So for $35, it's probably the best deal in town going for that particular weekend. April 1st, 2023, doors open at 6:00 up at the Big Eagles Hall. It's their biggest fundraising event of the year. So they're heavily dependent on how that does. And it's usually very well attended, and a lot of cool gifts or cool auction items and things like that you can get there too. So check that out if you can. And then the other thing, I just wanted to give advance notice instead of calling everybody a day or two ahead of time that I will be, for some professional licensure that I have to get, I will be not present at the April 13th meeting. So if I'm excused, that's fine. If I'm not, that's fine too. But I just wanted to let everybody know that in advance.
Anything else, Steve?
That is all I have.
All right, thank you. Michael, do you have anything for council?
Yeah, I'd just like to bring back up the DORA thing. Yeah, it was a lot of hard work that Jeremy's went through, and I can respect the work that he's done, but I can also respect the work I've done on the building over there that I live in, and the work that I've done on the restaurant and continue to do and will continue to do. And I know that 10 years ago, when I picked up my building, that they was considering demolition on the building. There were multiple times when there were 2 bars there on the square that people had walked out of the bar and they'd picked up rocks and things and threw them in the windows and busted the windows at the building that I own over here on the square. Now, I don't think that that's necessarily for sure going to happen by no means, but it's probable that it could happen. And as far as the noise pollution that Mark alluded to earlier that could take place, I do hear a lot there where I live, and I know there's several other people that live in them apartments on the square. So I just don't know how that's going to work out. Again, it's a little different whenever you have a skating party out there on the square because it's kind of over fairly early. But whenever you do work every day, 6-7 days a week, and you don't want to be up till 12:30 at night, 11, 12 at night, that could be a little bit troublesome. So I just hope that we go into this with caution, and I'm curious to who's liable if there is an issue with it that's created by doing this. Is it the town that takes on the responsibility of that liability for permitting that to happen? Because they gave permission for it to happen, so how would it not be their liability if there was problems that spun off of that? Because I feel like there would be a liability there.
What kind of liability,
You're only
Mike?
giving permission for somebody to stand there and drink a beer.
I'm asking Joe, not to be
Okay,
rude
okay.
by no means. So
We don't incur any additional liability. We're not the permit holder.
who's the permit holder?
To liquor
The
establishments.
liquor establishment is still responsible for only serving, just as they always would be, not serving, over serving someone and making sure they're of age.
But we do know that happens, right? I mean, we do know, I mean, I think I've went out in my life a few times and had a few more than I should have. So it's possible.
It's possible.
You guys.
You're past the statute of limitations, right, Michael?
Yes, that's right. So, with that being said, I mean, I was actually chased down out of my building before because of rocks flying in when we were renovating the building, when there was 2 establishments right beside that building. So, I mean, I've lived it. So I'm maybe not a Dora, but I have lived with people drinking in groups around where I live. So it's just something to think about.
One thing, Mike. First of all,
You don't live there. Right.
really, really close, but one thing I would say is that besides the fact that we listened to Mike Mays and people who were not fully in favor of it as well when we crafted this, one of the things, and maybe I did not express this clearly enough, is the only possible nights it could be open are Friday and Saturday. So in your comment, and maybe you were just being like, you're just talking and weren't being exact, but in your 7 days a week comment, that would never, ever happen. The only days.
I said 7 days a week. People that work 7 days a week is what I said. People that
Oh,
work 7
therefore
days a
Saturday
week
and Sunday. I got
would
you.
get up and, it'd be all this ruckus going on outside. And, some days I start at 7, some days I start at 8:30, but a lot of days I go till 9. And then I'm just saying, I think that it's something to look at. But you know what? You said something earlier. All I can say is I'll have Rob on speed dial. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Art, you have something for council?
Yes, a couple things real quick. I sent you guys an invitation to a meeting we're going to have upstairs Monday night at 6:00. The purpose of the meeting, this new Appalachian grant, one of the big things in there was collaborating with other municipalities, other communities, other counties. So I got this idea to invite all the local village leaders and township leaders and some out of county leaders up here so we could all kind of meet each other and kind of network. That means you guys too. Well, it's turned out to be a huge response. We're even now that's got back to the Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission. They're going to be down here. They're going to answer questions for all of you if you have questions about this grant. So we're going to have a really nice meeting. There'll be some cookies and water upstairs, and I encourage you to come and get to know our neighbors. Technically we should be working together like this all the time. There's nothing wrong with somebody picking up the phone, which they do a lot, call me to ask me a question instead of reinventing the wheel, and we can do the same thing. So we need to get to know the people that are in the offices like us, next to us in these other counties, but this thing's taken off big. Georgetown's got a really good start on this, and there again, I'm so freaking excited about this grant and what it's going to bring to this town that I can't stand it. I mean, it's what I'm working on every day. Meetings. I'm going to one tomorrow, and Chillicothe. But there's a lot getting ready to happen in the village, and I can't wait till everybody gets to see that, and they're going to be proud of Georgetown.
I know I asked you about this before and you didn't know, is that going to be recorded? Is
But
it gonna-
upstairs?
Yeah.
No, I hadn't planned on it, but I can.
No, I thought if it was going to be streamed, cool, but I don't do anything. I'm not going to be able to make it. I really, really want to make it, but I have to work that night, and I would love to be able to see it if I could, but I don't rig the thing up just for
I would
this guy.
imagine, I'm sorry.
No,
I would imagine a lot of it will be small groups, people meeting and talking and moving around. You can't really live stream that.
No, I might be able to do John Kerry answering questions. I mean, John Hemmings answering questions.
Okay.
We'll figure something.
Don't, yeah.
Question also, so I know you said you was working diligently every day on that. I was just curious also, are we getting to any resolution on where we're at with the sewers and stuff?
Yep, we are. I wasn't gonna bring it up tonight, but we've got an issue with the lift station down here on, by the fuel pumps that, we're gonna have to get, we thought we could get it repaired partially, but we're not gonna be able to do that, but, I'm waiting for the, good estimate on what it's gonna cost, but I'm working on 2 grants for that too. I know one that we have a good shot of getting 80,000 out of, but we're looking at probably at a $200,000 repair. So that's in the works. We just reported to EPA. We had to come up with a timeline and tell them little things that we're going to do every year to try to reach our goals on this I&I problem we're working on. So they just accepted that.
Well, I just, again, I just wanted to kind of go back to that because I know that, there's a lot of things going on with the splash pad that's necessary and the walking path that's pretty cool going in too. And, some of these other things would be.
Well, let me just make this clear. This grant is not for that kind of infrastructure. If I put in for that kind of stuff, we won't get a dime out of it.
Right.
But yes, I'm still working every day on grants and things. I mean, it's like I said, this water main project's getting ready to start here. We're already working on the funding to change that water main from Ohio Street all the way up past the school. And I'll tell you a real quick example and then I'll shut up. The fire department went up to train this weekend and hooked to a fire hydrant up there and could take the hose and crimp it with your hands. When those mains were put in there weren't as many houses, but now that thing's populated, you've got the school and everything up there. School's on a different line. They've got plenty of water, but so yeah, that is always going on. I'll never quit looking for money and getting the infrastructure projects on, but I know that's the most important thing, but there's so much going on and there will be a lot going on and, it's always going on behind the scenes. We never stop thinking about this stuff.
Anything else, Art?
No, that'd be it.
Okay, very good. At this point in time, there's a request to go to an executive session. Can I make that or does that council member have to do that? Someone has to make a motion to go into an executive session. You see it on your packet. So if someone would wish to read that, they could.
I move to go into executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22 D8.
Take another sip of water after that. Okay, we have that motion. Do we have a second by Jeremy? Let's do a roll call vote, please. I'll take care of it, Art. Mark?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Kelly?
After that.
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Michael? Okay, very good. Art, if you want to cut it off.
We're not.
Okay.
Are we doing